The pandemic has brought to the surface many underlying issues, one being the future of work. And what we've seen is that there's tons of data out there. They're screaming, it's shouting, it's trying to tell us a story that we can no longer avoid. 4 million Americans quit their jobs 1 year ago. It's called a mass resignation. We also know that there's a Gallup poll that states 550 billion is lost yearly in productivity at work. Why? Because of disengaged employees. To be exact, 74% of employees are disengaged at work. I'm painting a pretty bleak picture here, but the fact of the matter is that there's an elephant in the room, and we know this. But there's also another side, maybe some light to be shed upon. Companies that do invest in culture are seeing that they have 4 times increase in revenue, or that being named a best place to work at is also associated with a stock jump, and that 69% of employees who actually do find meaningful work are less likely to quit their jobs within the first 6 months. So I gotta ask, are we missing something here? I believe so when we see headlines like this one, that 9 out of 10 people are willing to earn less money to do more meaningful work. So I pose this question to you, and think about it just for 1 second. Is meaning the new money? The academics look at it from this perspective. You've got a job, you've got a career, and you've got a calling. One you do for money, one you do for status, and one you do for purpose. But that data is out there. You can Google that. Tons of research. What potentially maybe you can't Google is what I'm going to share with you right now, which is how I started to rethink the meaning of work. As far back as I can remember, I've been working. This is a picture of me in high school doing homework. I worked to learn a new instrument. I worked on those college applications. I worked to get into the most amazing first job out of college, and so on and so on. And through it all, I kept asking myself this: what's the point? Many years later, now I know what I was searching for was meaning. And you know what? Some of you are thinking, I have no idea what college or university I'm going to go to. If what I'm going to major, what we're hearing now is that 4 years from now, it'll be obsolete if I go into the workforce. And you know what? That's okay. Or you're in your first job, and you're like, really, this is it? That's okay too. Or you're already on your second career, and you still are searching for meaning. Because I've got a confession to make. I don't want to stand here before you as if I have all the answers, because I definitely don't. I have a lot more questions. But what I do know is that it's about a process. It's about a journey. And sometimes we want things just like that, immediately. But we have to take our time. 20 years ago, when I graduated from Boston University on that football field on a rainy Saturday, I definitely was not thinking about the meaning of work. I was thinking that the next day, I was headed to New York City, and on Monday, I would be starting my dream job at the advertising agency, BBDO. I worked with exceptional talent. I worked on amazing brands. I got to travel the world. I even got to work on Super Bowl advertising eventually. But a few more years in, and a few more advertising agencies in, I just said, you know what? I don't know, but I kept going until what I call the awakening. It happened on Super Bowl Sunday. This is the day for anyone who's in advertising. You want to watch the game, but you definitely are in it for the ads. I raced over to my friend's apartment. A whole bunch of us were going to cram on her sofa, eat pizza, watch the game, but more importantly, those ads. And I was stepping off the elevator, almost about to knock on my friend's door, when my phone rang. And it was my dad. In a very somber voice, He said, "Julie, I don't have good news." I said, "What's up?" He said, "Well, your Aunt Mari, your Tia Mari, she just passed away." My heart stopped. I didn't get it. She had just survived a cancer a few years back. She was the youngest of 5. My mom was the oldest. She was my godmother, and she was like a second mom to me. I rushed back down the elevator. I got home as fast as I could, packed a carry-on, and made it to JFK. As I was in the airport waiting, I called my boss. Of course, Super Bowl Sunday, she didn't pick up. So I left a message, and I wrote an email. I said, "I will be back in 48 hours. This is what's happening." I got on that plane. I landed in Colombia, in Bogota, and I made it right to the ends of the funeral. The next day, I was back on a plane, back at JFK, and now in a cab, but on my way to the office. As I walked past reception, I asked, "Is my boss in?" And I got a nod. So I rushed over, and I don't know what I was expecting when I knocked on that door, but definitely not the welcoming I got. She asked me if I had the death certificate. Thought it was an odd question, but I said, yeah, and I did have it because I knew HR was going to ask me for it. But then she asked me for my credit card, and then my work badge, and then the keys to my office. As you can imagine, perplexed, I said, "What's going on?" And she said, well, in a very nonchalant way, like almost as if she were ordering coffee, she said, "Well, Juliana, it's very simple. You do not have authorization to leave, and that's just not acceptable. So you no longer work here." I felt like something went in my brain. And I was shattered into 1,000 pieces. I lost a loved one. I lost my job. And I lost respect for the corporate world. Somehow, I pieced myself back together, piece by piece. And I kept going for a few years and a few more ad agencies until it was no longer acceptable to me. I knew I needed a change. And so, I didn't change zip codes, I changed continents, and I moved to Spain. When I got to Spain, I wanted to start on a fresh new white canvas. I started working in PR, in luxury fashion brands. It was cool for a while. Then I got a call from a headhunter to work in a completely new area, marketing, for a big multinational. Some of you guys probably know one of the outlets here, La Rosas Village. And it was a time of growth and expansion, and it was exciting, but still I wasn't feeling it. So there it was, my thermometer, my internal thermometer, saying, it's time for another change. And so I became an entrepreneur. This was it. I was plugged in 24 hours a day. I worked Monday to Sunday. I have never worked so hard in my life to create a brand, to create a team, innovate new products and services. And it's not every day you get featured in Vogue. But yet, I was not jumping out of bed every morning saying, woohoo, this is it. Nope. And so I got an offer to sell the business, and I took it 7 years in. And remember this slide? The job, the career, the calling, it was all the same. I had worked in the US, I had worked in Europe, I had worked in advertising and PR and marketing. I had even created my own company searching for this meaning. Until someone crossed my path. Somebody who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at the time. And it was the dean of a business school. He saw in me a piece of the puzzle that he was putting together for his community. And he gave me the challenge of being the glue to a 10,000 staff, faculty, and student community, to creating a common language, new traditions, making tangible the institution's values, and creating a sense of belonging. And this path, these 6 years, brought me closer to finding meaning, because I got a front seat to seeing young people and young professionals searching for that meaning. Today, I help companies in their cultural transformation. I help employees not feel like numbers, but reach authentic engagement. I create communities at work. And was this easy? No, it was super hard. There was a lot of falling forward. But in that falling forward, and in mourning those hopes and dreams and jobs that I thought were it, I got closer. And I got closer to connecting the dots. What does that even mean, connecting the dots? It meant I got closer to connecting with myself. I had to ask myself, not just what's meaningful to me, but those hard questions. What are you willing to fight for? Who are you willing to stand up for? What are your values? And what I have to say is that no one has the superpower of knowing this right off the bat. All of us have our own process and our own journey. Very few people at a young age get to have that sort of calling and know. So with my journey, I want to leave you with 3 lessons. The first is just remove the labels. Forget about the job description, the job title, the cool brand you want to work for, or the brand you work for. Society pushes us in that way to say, hey, what's your name? And what do you do? That's your label. It doesn't define you. It took me so long to figure this out. Lesson 2, this is personal. Meaning comes from who you are. So when you wake up every day, be it whatever project, team, or work you're doing, ask yourself, am I adding a piece of me to this masterpiece? Because in the end, that's what matters. That's where meaning is. It's not a destination. It's in what you're doing right here, right now, and how you make people feel. And 3, don't think because you're not feeling like, this is the right thing right here, right now, and you feeling like you're failing time and time again. Look at my story. You're not failing. You're actually doing something right. You're getting closer to whatever is meaningful to you. Work can be work, or it could be so much more. Now everyone, the hot topic is the future of work. What I think is ironic is that probably even the term work will become obsolete. Why? Because we're no longer at the bottom of this pyramid. We're no longer needing jobs to survive. Why do you think people don't want bosses? They want mentors. People don't want work colleagues. They want communities at work. People want to reach their full potential. They want to flourish. They want to transform. Remember the elephant in the room? The 4 million people that quit their jobs? Don't get trapped. Keep moving and keep asking yourself those tough questions. What is meaningful to me? How can I add value and create value into the lives of others? And how? How can I serve my community? Every time that I thought that the world around me was crumbling, a new world, a more meaningful world, was being built right before my eyes. Own your creation, and trust me, you'll never wake up to a job. You'll never wake up to something that's just work. You'll wake up to a meaningful life. Thank you.